Call this meeting to order. We'll note that Ms. Walker and Dr. Eversole are absent, and I will tell everyone about our flag salute leader. We have Ms. Harper Dry. She is in kindergarten at Cherokee Elementary in Mrs. Hatler's class. Her parents are Jeremy and Amanda Dry. Harper loves cheerleading, doing cartwheels, playing Barbies, singing and dancing, and drawing. All right, Harper, if you want to come right up here and say attention, salute, pledge, we'll all say it with you, okay?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Harper, we have something for you. We have snacks for you. If you want to turn around right here in front of us, take a picture, okay? Stand up. It's easy. Look at Mr. Rudner or Ms. McCoy.
Right here.
Mr. Rudner. Thank you, Harper. All right, next, Tiger's Roar, a day in the life of a school nurse.
It is my pleasure to introduce our 6 amazing nurses that work for Tahlequah Public Schools. They are essential members to our school families, and we really are blessed for this. We have Ms. Alex Reed from pre-K, and I don't think she's able to be here tonight. And Ms. Crystal McKee from Cherokee, and I don't think she was able to make it tonight either. And Sarah Harrington from Greenwood. Ms. Cecily Hicks, if you don't mind standing up and giving a little wave. Is at Heritage Elementary. Ms. Kim Lamans from TMS, and Ms. Ashley Gower is our team leader at THS. She's going to share a little bit of information about a day in the life of the nurse.
I wrote it out because I'll get sidetracked. Thank you so much for having us here today. While some of the nurses are unable to make it, we all find it an honor to be recognized and given a platform where we have the opportunity to not only introduce who we are, but what we do. Like Sherry said, my name's Ashley, this is Cecily, and this is Kim. I love to educate, and sometimes I get too in-depth when really only one simple thing is needed in an explanation. So when I was asked by Nikki to speak on behalf of the nurses, I started out really focusing on every aspect of what we do. What could I teach everyone about school nursing? What aspect of school nursing is most important? And how can I represent who we are the best? But I started to get a little overwhelmed because I couldn't figure out how I was going to do that and introduce all the information in such a short time. So I reached out to my nurses and I just kind of asked them, what are some highlights? And so I feel like their response would be more impactful than the technical response that I was going to come up with. But before I share that, I just want to say this. Our school district is extremely lucky to have a nurse at each school site. Some schools only have one nurse that will travel to multiple sites or no nurse at all, and it's left to the school staff to handle. And in those situations, what they are able to do is very limited. So as a parent, it's nice to know that our school district has a nurse at each school who is trained in those sorts of situations. My title is District RN Supervisor, but these ladies need very minimal supervision. Combined, we have over 60 years of nursing under our belts. We all have and still do work in other areas of nursing, and these ladies know what their job is. They know how to do their job, and they do it well. So I know I never have to worry about that. Unfortunately, there are some that feel we are not real nurses. We've actually been asked questions like, are you a real nurse? Did you actually go to nursing school? Or statements like, you're just a school nurse, Are you even able to do X, Y, Z? Or my favorite, are you a school nurse because you can't get a real nurse job? We laugh at this often because we know majority have no idea what we do. So here's my technical response. School nursing is essentially nursing in a school setting. It is a mix of public health nursing, emergency nursing, along with counseling and just being a mother figure. We see a mix of students and staff, and we offer services and education to the family as a whole. Our goal is to promote an environment of optimum health that facilitates a student's ability to achieve their individual educational goals. We coordinate with community officials, public health officials, healthcare professionals, board members, and many other individuals to make sure we are meeting the needs of our students and their families. If you want to know exactly what it is we do, just come find one of us and make sure you have some time to spare. We administer medicine routinely and in emergencies. We develop care plans, perform vision screens, coordinate clinics, bandage wounds, educate, and the list goes on.
She asked me to do the rest, so here we go. Now here's our response as nurses that live our jobs and those we care for. We are a safe place for kids, families, and staff. We are not just here to treat medical needs, develop care plans, attend IEP meetings, etc., but to be a trusted person for your children when they have bad days, when they need to be handled with a little more care than usual, when they need a little bit of that extra love that we all need sometimes. We are special in that we operate a unique position outside of the medical field. We don't have doctors to turn to in an emergency situations. We don't have all the equipment and supplies that you would find in hospitals and urgent cares. We operate on our own with our scope of practice. We think quick in emergencies and act on our medical training that we received at real nursing school and through real life experiences. We improvise using the resources we have to keep your child safe, healthy, and in school learning while also following protocol and policies. We know not all students are the same, therefore we strive to meet each child where they are developmentally while setting boundaries and love. We understand the burden that falls on parents when they have to miss work or try to find someone to pick their child up. Our children get sick too. We understand what teachers face with these same students and they are ill or having a bad day, and understand how comforting it is to know that there are staff available to fill a gap when our kids need someone to fill a need we can't meet at that moment. A day in the life of a school nurse is like an iceberg. All anyone sees is the tip top of what we do. Like most jobs, it has its ups and downs, its aggravations and its reward. At times it feels lonely and isolated and brings a sense of fulfillment. I'm proud of our team. We are proud of the work we do and lives we touch. We wouldn't want to be school nurses anywhere else. When you think of us, just know we are more than a trifecta of ice packs, Band-Aids, and peppermints. We are the nurses for Tahlequah Public Schools, and we're honored to serve in the capacity we do, and I speak for all of us when I say we're all proud to be a Tiger. Thank you.
Every day they go above and beyond. They come to start on their school year before staff report to get things ready, so we know that we have everything ready with our immunizations. They stay after if we need to get things uploaded. Blessed with the best. And a really neat opportunity that you guys approved earlier this summer was now we have a contract with a university that has allowed clinical rotations in a school nurse's setting, and I think that's something to be very proud of, and these ladies are the reason they asked for that to happen. They see the quality we have, they see the passion, and where we put our money where our mouth is, we want to keep our kids safe. So thank you guys. Here is a little token of our appreciation. I know it there's no peppermint.
I've said this before, and you weren't here to hear it, but I have, my school nurse isn't here tonight, but I get called at least once a week because I have 3 elementary school students. And I know that you guys do real nursing in there, and you deal with real emergencies. And kids have broken arms, they get very sick in there, but you also cannot discount the peppermints. Because I happened to be in the nurse's office one morning for about 10 minutes, and there were about 10 kids in there at that time, and this nurse, it was, here's peppermint, here's mice, here's your medicine, here's, and on top of that, calling parents, and it was 10 minutes, and it was just this revolving door, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is all day long. And on top of dealing with real emergencies, and then just the kids like mine that, if they cough, they think they need to go see the nurse. So it's really, really great. And we are really blessed at Tahlequah that we have a nurse at each one of our sites, because I know that is unusual. And I don't know what the schools that don't have them, what the burden that is on administrators and teachers, because I know that businesses are busy all day, every day. And you are very much appreciated. Tile Closet community that thrives in healthcare kind of across our community, and the fact that we have nurses at each one of our sites is really important to parents, it's important to our kids, it's important to teachers and administrators because they're able to do their job because you all are there to do your jobs, and thank you very much. Come take a picture. We're tall enough. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, yearbook staff. You guys are free to go.
I feel like I want you all to stand. I feel like you knew that was coming. Maybe like over there against the wall, so you're not like right in front of everybody. I am Mrs. Harris at the high school as they kind of shuffle over there. This is your 2022, 2023, 2024 yearbook staff. The majority of them. They will move a little bit, but we got some talking to do. Okay, so it is I had to write it down as well because I would cry. So it is an honor to recognize, already started, the Tahlequah High School yearbook staff. It is the largest student-led project of the school year. It is a 176-page research paper with the daunting task to tell the story of every tiger. For the third consecutive year, our completely custom and student-designed covers and themes have been chosen by Herff Jones to be designated portfolio status. This designation means that the book was chosen as the top 1% of all yearbooks printed by the company nationwide. All 3 years we've been recognized in the cover category. So people say never to judge a book by the cover, except for maybe in this case. And in addition to incredible covers, these students have become accomplished photographers, impressive writers, curators of school spirit and memories, and they are all around incredible humans. They sacrifice evenings and weekends, even spring break, when the book is not done, all because they love our students and they love this school. It is my hope that their spirit breathes new life into the memories when students open the pages of the yearbook. Their hard work enshrines our high school body of incredible young men and women in a masterpiece that will be cherished forever. So I would like to introduce the players, which are the yearbooks, because they go before us, right? So hold them up. Let me see where they are. I'm missing one. Okay, Emily McAlpine, if you'll step forward. Emily is holding the 1920 school year yearbook. It's called Now and Back to Then. This one did not compete because I didn't know that competition was a thing. But holding this is Emily McAlpine. She is nationally recognized for 2 of her sports photographs by Herff Jones. She's been featured twice. Next up, hold them up, I've got Brooke Settle. Brooke Settle is holding The View from Here. This was our first yearbook to place in portfolio status. This was, in Emily McAlpine, editor-in-chief was Uriah Poole. In Brooks, the 1920 is Caitlin McNatt and Jayla Adams. Brooke Settle is a 3-year staff member. She's one of our strong photographers, and this year she joined Palm, so we're a little sad, but she's still in yearbook, so we're sharing her. But that was our first designated portfolio book. 2021, 2022, that would be Erica. Erica Ramirez, she's our manager. Erica makes sure that all the buttons are pushed and all of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And if you're ever wondering how I'm on track, it is because of this young lady right here. The book she's holding is Caitlin Caldwell and Aaron Bennett I'm off by one. This is 2021. This is Jayla Adams and Isaac Monks were our chief editors. Next up is the 21-22 yearbook. This is the competition for this year. This is our third designation. This one was designated portfolio as well. Katie Pursley is holding the 21-22 yearbook. That was Caitlin Caldwell and Aaron Bennett were our chief editors. And we have to give special designation to Emma Hatfield that year. She was our chief design editor on the cover. Katie Pursley is also serving as our co-editor-in-chief this year. She's a 4-year yearbook staffer, which I don't have very often. She's one of the freshmen that slipped through. 2022-2023. This is the one that everyone likes to hear about and talk about. Show the back. Yep. Most high school kids call this a VHS. That's a cassette tape. It does completely link to a customized Spotify playlist that plays all of the songs that our students have chosen and selected into that. We are currently competing with this yearbook. We go on November 2nd to state competition, and it's already been submitted to Herff Jones for portfolio status. So, and our editor-in-chief on playback, which was last year's, is Katie Pursley. And then this year's yearbook, no one's holding it, although we get asked all the time, when's the yearbook going to be ready? That will be in May. This year's co-editors are Katie Pursley and Gabby Hall. Gabby's holding the playback book. These two young ladies, they also keep me in line. They're incredible. Our theme, are we gonna go there? Our theme this year is Stories We Tell, and it will be a scrapbook album. So, yeah, yearbook. And I think if Brittany's okay with it, so we're there on the table back there is all of the portfolio. We actually get published in our portfolio book. So those are the 3, and then our 5 that have competed or that we've produced. I'll leave those and just pick them up in case people want to tinker with them.
Will you tell us who your other students are?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so we'll start over here. I'm not going to go with last name. This is Neela. Neela is our German foreign exchange student. She joined yearbook this year, and if you are at any of the home football games, she is the one on the sidelines. We can't keep her down. We actually can't keep her away unless I hand her a camera with a dead battery. That made her go sit down last Friday night. Aubrey Coffrin is our yearbook staffer who's not in yearbook, unfortunately. She couldn't be in our class period, but she applied, and she is also behind a lot of the lenses. She's one of our newbies and our young ones, so you'll see her lots and lots of times as the years go on. And then we have Ethan Sisk. Ethan returns to us. He's been what we call a stringer. So in yearbook, we have yearbook staff. You have to apply to be on yearbook staff. You get the privilege of being in the class period. And then if you aren't able to do that, then we use stringers. Stringers is in the biz is someone who would go and cover an event or write an article for you. So Ethan's been a stringer since his sophomore year. His specialty is basketball. So all of those basketball games, when we can't, Ethan would go and cover those for us. Gabby Hall, she is our co-editor-in-chief. Katie Pursley, she's also co-editor-in-chief, 2nd year editor-in-chief. Then we have Megan Sisk. Yes, they're brother and sister. No, they are not twins. But Megan is also on staff this year. She's unable to be in our class period, but she's also been a stringer since her sophomore year. Or freshman year, maybe. It was definitely before she could drive, because Dad would have to bring her. Then we have Tori Pham. She's a senior this year. She's joining us, and she is in charge of our index. She'll be our index manager this year. Then we have our returning sports editor, which I'm so sad. I'm going to find a way to fail this young lady. I have to tell the story, because they gave me a podium. So not last home game, but the home game before, I took an amazing picture. Like, I was so proud of it. I even went up and showed the newspaper guy, like, check this picture out. I was bragging about it all day on Monday, and then McAlpine's like, hey, I think I got that same picture. Her picture completely smoked my picture. It is amazing. Her lighting is better. She's just incredible. But she is our sports editor last year and this year. Brooke Settle, her main focus is design. She's incredible with design. And she is so helpful to everyone in that field of design. She's very integral and a lot in the playback book, if you get a chance to look through that. A lot of that handiwork was Brooke's. She's also one of my strong photographers. We're going to have a battle over senior night because I want her back on the sidelines for at least 1 game. But she's amazing. And then Bentley Linney is one of our newbies. She's a junior. This is her first year. She's joining us. And Erica Ramirez, she's also one of the freshmen that squeezed through. Actually, I'm going to tell the story. So it would have been, whatever year that was, Candid. I get this application and it's not in the right format. It's in PowerPoint and I wanted it in PDF, and so I don't know the email and I don't know the child because there's 1,300 of them. So I respond, I'm like, hey, I need you to convert that to PDF and thank you for applying and fabulous thing. A day later I get it back in PDF, all is fine. I'm trying to find her in the school, trying to find her schedule. She's an 8th grader at Woodall, applying and converting her application and doing all the things. Never once did she say, hey, I'm not there. So she was the freshman that we forced through, and she is our manager. She, the daunting task of checking every single portrait about 6 times a year lands on Erica. So picture day is very important to her, and making sure that you check in both spots. That is very important to Erica. I think I got everybody. Did I get everybody? All right. Yay.
Well, we should thank Miss Harris for what she does as well, because she is an amazing.
I do appreciate that, but honestly, if you ask them, I really don't do anything. Today I sat to the side and ate my lunch while they worked on things, so they work hard. Yeah, make me look.
Get you all right there.
Not everybody for.
Probably some of you did the flag salute when you were little.
Thank you, guys. It's probably my favorite class in high school.
Yearbook? I was in yearbook too. We called it cut and paste it when we cut it.
You literally cut it.
I have no idea.
I'm not gonna troll you.
Buy yours.
And because we're live and because the newspapers here, Talpa High School every year around purchasing a yearbook time, there's a link that you can go purchase a yearbook for a student who may not be able to purchase one.
She is.
They are a little expensive, so
Oh, yeah.
people in our community are always asking how they can assist. And that's a great thing that we can do for seniors that may not be able to get their senior yearbook.
Thank you for that, Chrissy. We'll
Take care,
be
Kitty.
making that post. Around Christmas is when we usually post
Great time.
the donation. And last year we had about 20 yearbooks, and we had when you hand them a yearbook and you tell them here's a yearbook that they didn't think they were gonna get, it's an emotional moment for them that they get those yearbooks, so. Very awesome.
We are tabling number 3 on the agenda. Actually, I don't think we have to table it because it's not an action item, but Sarah was ill tonight, so we will do that some other time. Item C, do we have any public to be heard? No. Discussion and vote to approve or not approve the minutes from the previous meeting, September 12th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Any discussion? Ms. Coughlin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Principal Director's Report, Mr. Cloud.
I'm gonna get us back on time.
I'm sorry.
I'm not fancy, I don't have a PowerPoint. I was kind of nervous about that. Just a little bit about us, and I've said a lot of this before, but we have 38 coaches, 1 athletic trainer and an office manager. We have over 600 athletes, grades 7 through 12. This past year, in our gate receipts and fundraising and concessions, we did $556,800. And this year, I think we'll top that we're on pace to get to about 700,000. And that's, a testament to our patrons, our community members, our admin, and supporting us. And that's our lifeblood is the gate receipts and the concessions. This year, I looked today, we will have over 100 home athletic events, grades 7 through 12. And that's a big undertaking for those coaches. That's 100 nights, not all of them, but a lot of them give up a lot of nights. When most people are going home, they're going to work, and I'm proud of that for them. This fall, our volleyball got beat in the regionals last Monday. Their all-state voting takes place at the end of this week, so we don't know who's all-stated there. Softball made it to the state tournament for the 12th time in 13 years, and their all-state is also taking place. We got our all-district votes in today. Don't want to say just yet because he hasn't had a chance to tell the kids. Cross country, they won the Metro Lakes Conference meet again. We hosted it. Everybody wants to come to our place because they do such a good job putting it on, and our cross country course is second to none. They've even asked us to host a regional, but we don't have a gate all the way around it, and I don't think we want to spend $150,000 just for one meet a year. So, but those guys, we have a chance to have a couple individual state champions in Edmond in a couple weeks, and the boys team will have a chance to be in the top 3. If they run really well, they can win it 5A. Obviously, I mean, the elephant in the room, the football team is having a tough season, and that's been a challenge for us. I am proud of those guys. You know, there was a couple things to take away from last Friday night that a lot of people don't see because they don't know the kids like we know the kids. We were down, 7 touchdowns or 8 touchdowns at the time, and 3 of the kids that you would have never picked never gave up, and they still tried to chase this guy even though they were 30 yards. And that's a testament to coaches. A year ago, 2 of those kids would just walked off, and they kept playing. The beauty of 6A2 football, if we win our next 2 out of 4, we can host a first-round playoff game, and it's a winnable game. So that's kind of what we've set our eyes on, to win 2 out of the next 4. We travel this Friday to Oklahoma City to U.S. Grant. And, I was out there today, and spirits were good. So they'll just keep plugging, and next year, the next 2 years, we'll play in 5A football, and that's kind of where we belong. I feel good about that. Our winter sports, they started practice October 1st. We will host our basketball tournament again the first weekend in December. That's always a tough tournament. We got teams coming from Oklahoma City, Lawton area, Enid. It's a good tournament for us, and it's a good moneymaker for our program, and it gets more people on our campus. Our girls were invited back to the Tournament of Champions over Christmas break, and that's always tough. And in the years past that we went, it's always a double-edged sword to accept the invite because it's hard. A lot of teams go 0-3 or 1-2. In the old days, the rankings depended on your win-loss, but now we're in districts, and it doesn't matter because you just got to play good in district. So David wanted to play in it, and I said, let's do it. And, it's a good opportunity for our kids to stay in downtown Tulsa for a couple nights. They do a great job, and I know our girls are excited to be back. Some of them have played in 3 of them now, the senior staff. And we are in districts now, so we're not going to play the usual, the Priors, the Guidas, Collinsville, Skytook, Glenpool. We've added 3 new ones: East Central, Bishop Kelly, and Booker T will now be in our district. So it'll kind of be a different look during basketball season in the old Metro Lakes, which has been a challenge in scheduling because we still play junior high in Metro Lakes, so it's been a mess. But we've got it sorted out, and our guys are excited about district play because it kind of takes that human element of ranking people out of it. And your product speaks for itself. So I know those guys are excited about that. I know Ms. Jones has talked about this, about the bond projects. We get compliments every time a school comes in about that turf field. And so many people have been able to utilize it. Our youth football used it all fall long. We're going to play all of our home soccer matches there. I talked, we've ordered new goals for that. And we've got it set up where we can play all our home games there. And I know Greg Hall and Scotty McKee are excited about that because it is hard to travel every time you play. And maybe one day we'll play all our games there. Indoor athletic facilities coming along. We get a lot of compliments about that. And I want to thank the board and patrons of Tahlequah because facilities like that retains kids. It retains kids and helps the recruitment of those K-8 kids. I get questions all the time. What's that going to be? Who's that for? What's your further plans? And I mean, we're in a unique situation with K-8s because they get to kind of shop around. And, my kids the same way. They like nice things. So if you can see that helps us retain and recruit. And I I didn't know what else to say, and Robert said we needed to talk about our Monday meeting. In our Monday meeting, Miss Jones said, "What's your favorite thing about the job?" And you know, the cliche thing is the kids, and obviously all of us here love kids, or we wouldn't be here. But my most favorite thing about this job is our coaching staff and the relationships we have with those guys. Most of them, you know, there's always a handful of new ones. But most of those guys have given their whole lives to this place, and that's important to me. And those guys trust me. And I told the group this. Usually, when they come see me, it's not about sports and it's not about a kid. It's about a problem they have in life, and whether it's home or whether it's bills or whether it's spouse. And I feel that validates me more than wins and losses. If they'll tell me about their private problems at home, they know I'm gonna work hard for them. And I think that's my most favorite part. Also the kids. It is the kids. It's funny, you see these kids in 7th grade, and we were just talking about it before I got here at the junior high football game. Those 7th graders are little and those 9th graders are so big. And I remember some of the seniors this year when they were 7th graders, and Darren Spar especially, Ashley's son, had a little flat top and he was wild, and now he's grown into a man, and you're just like, he stuck it out for 5 years, and that's the cool part of this job. So, any questions?
Yeah, anything about wrestling?
We've started, they will start, they have an open tournament in 2 weeks at Union. We have a full girls schedule this year, where they'll go to separate places. We've got several girls that are involved. We've retained, the new part about girls wrestling, a lot of them want to do it until they figure out what it's about, and so we always lose them. But we've retained several of our girl wrestlers, and we have a chance to be really good in girls wrestling this year.
Awesome.
So they've got their own standalone schedule this year, which is it's going to help. So.
Thank you, Matt. I don't have a question, but I just, comment, things about Matt. I mean, Matt has a vision, which I think is so important for anything to actually get better. And he's got a long-term plan, and he has things that he wants here for kids and for our coaches. And he is committed to that, and he works hard for that every day. And he has really put a lot of time into community involvement, community partners, and that's how we change things. That's how we reach the vision and get the commitment from others. And he represents us very well in the community. He works hard to make our athletics really stand out. And sometimes it's really hard. It's hard when we end up in the bottom of 6A, where we don't belong. We're always flirting with that line, and that's hard. But no matter what, just like the football team, we're getting hammered in the game, we're gonna take something good out of it. And they do that because I think he leads that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That was longer than you said. All right, Ms. Collins.
Good evening. So I have the 2022-23 school dropout report, graduation rate, and college remediation information. Did some reading and looked at some research, what research says about post-pandemic and students and all of these items. Dorn et al. Is a good researcher in this area. In 2020, they did some research that projected that the school dropout rate would increase because of the pandemic. Because we're finding out that kids developmentally needed to be with their peers. That's a big thing we see ramifications from daily. I know at the elementary level, middle school level, and the high school level. The overwhelming anxiety that students have, they have reduced academic motivation, and it has hurt their academic performance and their levels of engagement. The other thing their research indicated in 2021 was 35% of parents, there were 16,370 surveys, 35% of parents said that they are extremely concerned about their child's mental health. And we see that daily. And so the advice they give us as educators is to work on your absenteeism rate to get kids to school. We're working on that at the high school. Re-engage the students in effective learning environments. We're working on that. Support students in their learning gaps, and I'll tell you about our plans for that. And then reimagine our education. So traditional brick and mortar, traditional 7-period days, traditional 6-period days. We're gonna have to think outside the box and get creative with our kiddos to re-engage them and move forward. And I think that our guiding coalition and our teachers at the high school are very much on board with all of that. And I'm just excited to work with them to solve this problem. So in our first slide, we had 44 total dropouts in grades 9 through 12. We had 60 last year when I reported to you, so it is getting better. So we had 5 students that came back to our school. We had 0 students re-enter at other sites. We had 6 students request records from another district. We had 1 student pass their GED test, so that does not count as a dropout. We had none go to homeschooling, none in error, and then we had none age out. So, like I said, we had 60 last year, so that was 16 students left. So next year we hope to report to you even less. So we are working on that. We have Mr. Goodwin part-time, we have Mr. Bookout part-time, and all of our vice principals, Mrs. Meggs part-time. They all work on truancy. And this year we have attacked the tardy rate. We have an overwhelming amount of tardies. Post-pandemic, first hour bell is a suggestion. So we have decided that over 5 tardies, you get a slip in the morning and you go serve lunch detention. The first 15 minutes of your lunch, usually the lunch line's gone and they can go eat. It is working really well because we have averaged about 100 tardy students every day, and we have less than 20 now. So
Good job.
that's a thanks to Mr. Bookout and Mr. Goodwin and our VP team in helping us with that. So we have found what works, we have found the carrot, and we're gonna keep dangling it. That next slide, a carrot or a stick, I don't know which one. These corrections comprised of 12 students were removed from the final count of the dropout report. And so basically the 40 turned to 32 with those corrections that I showed you on that last page, okay? That next slide is our dropout rate by year. So as you can see, last year was 60, we had 20 corrections, so we had 40. 44 drops this year, 12 corrections, so actually a 32. Now our senior class on the next slide, we had 278 seniors, 8 students went to another school, 1 student refused to come to summer school, and we had just about everyone trying to find this student and we couldn't find her. 2 special needs students, the law changed and so they're able to stay with us a little bit longer and we're glad to accommodate them. 4 seniors were 10-day drops. 1 senior finished their GED, 16 total non-graduates, and 260 that graduated. So our graduation rate at Tahlequah High School was 94.2% last year, which we're extremely proud of. And we want that to be 100%. So that's always our goal, 100% of our kids college and career ready. We're gonna keep working for that. And the next slide is our college remediation rate. We have some work to do here, we know this. I want to also alert you that this data is a little bit lagging. So this is 2021 fall freshman data, so we won't get the 2022 data until this time next year. So as you can see, we have some work to do in English and we have some work to do in science and math, but our reading looks pretty good. I want to tell you a few of the things we're doing. So English department has a new curriculum. They are working hard on that. Lots of professional development with that company. Dr. Laura Searcy is, our teachers are able to work with her through OSAP. We have 2 English teachers that are brand new to the profession and they are attending a K-20 learning cohort, which Europe is funding. And it's for new teachers so that hopefully they won't leave their profession, and to guide them and foster them and motivate them. I am actually attending the last session with them, so they go 3 days, so that they can kind of build the cohort and find others among them in the state of the same predicament. And then on the 3rd day, I go with them, and then they tell me how I can help and foster and coach them. So I think it'll be powerful. K-20 always has the best training, very thankful about that.
Finally,
We
I have
also-
a question about this. So these are kids that when they go to college, they have to take a
Zero level.
zero level, and it's based on their ACT score, or is that if they don't get a certain score on the ACT, then they have to take it?
Yes, but there's always a residual ACT. So if I took the national ACT test and I decide to go to NSU, I can take the residual ACT in English, and it's always a little bit easier to score on that residual ACT, I believe. And sometimes our Gear Up people are really good about helping our kids know about that.
So they can take the residual, and if they get the score, they don't have to take it.
It saves them money and time, basically.
What is our, and I will ask you this if you wanna bring it back, because I'm curious, we're higher, on some of those. I'm curious what our percent of students attending college compares to, county and state average.
I would bet it's much greater because
I
of
think
our
it is
Gear Up.
too, because we have one here, and so I think that we probably have
It's pretty skewed data
kids at
because
Tahlequah going to college that if they were at another school, they wouldn't be going to college. And so I think that there's some stuff going on with those numbers that maybe make them look worse than they are.
we have a college application day with our Gear Up staff, and I bet we get 75% of our senior class to fill out college applications and FAFSAs.
I'd just be interested in what
And I bet our
number
data is a
compared.
little bit skewed because we have so many, and that's okay. But we wanna provide them that opportunity. Thank you for that. And our ACT did rise. It was 18.1 as our composite last year, 18.3 this year, and we wanna raise it to 18.5. So we're all working on that. Another thing we implemented this year, a group of us went to our TI conference with Gear Up. We really wanna focus on tier 1 and tier 3 instruction. We thought maybe we could cure some of our issues and deficiencies academic wise and not implement tier 2 right now, because that's gonna have to change our schedule and we don't know exactly what that looks like. So we are offering a ROAR class, an additional math or an additional English class to our freshmen that have demonstrated a need. So we came in and had kids tested at freshman orientation or when they were in eighth grade to eliminate some stigma against, I just got pulled out of the regular English class and put into a remediation class. So they actually have a normal English class and a remediation class this year. We did that in English and math, and we're hoping to look at the semester and see if that was productive, and if not, we will do something else. But I think we're really feeling that it's productive. The other thing that I'm really proud of our faculty is that we've decided as a team that we weren't benchmarking with Fidelity. In Abby's school, they use Edulastic. We decided to use it as well. It is basically a tool to hold your benchmark data, and it extrapolates things, and you can look down to the learning target where you're weak in, and it compares each teacher instruction and each teacher's assessments. And so we can say, okay, Mr. Pack is doing a good job with the quadratic formula, and Mrs. Beath is doing a really good job with whatever a math concept that I don't know. And so you can look at that and say, okay, what is she doing? What is he doing? How do I need to teach just like they're doing? So and we have told them, it's not about like finding the weakest teacher. It is about how we can share our strengths and get our academics up. And so I'm really proud that we are all benchmarking. We're all having data conversations in PLC. So I think that's gonna move us forward wonderfully in our academics. So really proud of that. And do y'all have any more questions?
I have a comment. You used the word coach, and I just made me think that it runs in the family, because I feel like that is how you are approaching your job. I'm very thankful that you're coaching your teachers. You too have a vision for what you want for them, and you mentioned accountability, and that's a hard thing. but accountability is how we actually move the needle. And so it's not always easy to go on and hold everybody to a standard and an idea, but I think you work at it every day, so thank you.
Thank you. And we struggle with post-pandemic, not with just kids, but with teachers too. And I think we've all tried to be loving and kind and graceful and just, I'm not here to get rid of anybody. We all have to love each other and move forward and do the best we can. So that's what we've been trying to do every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's see if I can make up the time, because all of us are lying so far. And then it's me, and I'm a talker, so we're in trouble, aren't we? So we always begin with the number of people that what we're doing and what we're working towards every day makes an effect on. And so we have 507 employees right now, 3,626 students that attend our school. And I have been starting with a random fact, but I'm gonna start with a random interesting new fact. And that is that we just found out very recently that we received another Department of Justice grant. Lacey led us into a $1 million grant for the next 3 years. And this is going to help continue to do some of the work that we've done with our other federal grants and our other Department of Justice grant that just ended. So prevention and safety and a lot of good things to come for that. And I know she'll have the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about that, but I wanted to start that out with this good news. And other good news, it's National Principals Month. So Misty Blunt, Rhonda Reed, Marissa McCoy, Amanda Vance, Abby Keys, Natalie Cloud, and Sherry Yount are the best principals in the world. October signals National Principals Month, and we'd like to recognize the work of these dedicated individuals. Yeah, you gotta take a picture. We know you guys set the tone for your culture, the staff, and what we do. We'll do a little bit of that tonight. You're dedicated to the profession in our district. You have learning for yourself and others. And we're just extremely blessed to have such great leaders in our district. So thank you for what I wanted to get.
For all the bridesmaids.
I wanted to get representation for all our meetings, but Sabrina wouldn't have put it. I'll take this.
This is the best they've ever been. So well behaved.
The quietest, hey? Thank you. They've all got, I know Abby's got places to run out to here in a second to our last middle school ball game tonight, but they were able to come here for a minute so we could just love on them and again say how grateful we are for the hard work that you do. So thank you for choosing to be here because we know it's a choice. Thank you. Our enrollment, something we always go over in this. Again, we said 3,626 students. That's 158 at pre-K, 430 at Cherokee, 499 at Greenwood, 495 at Heritage, 698 at TMS, and 1346 in THS and Central. Our elementaries have various spots open. Sequoia, TMS, and THS are all full at capacity, so there are no room for transfers in those schools. And just a random fact, we've had 29 new students in the last 12 days. They're just appear to be, I know, like, sorry, some people are like, cut it off. They're coming out of the woodwork right now, and we're hoping maybe that is just, usually that's after a big break or after Christmas break. Maybe we just have a new influx of that, but, so we have lots of children to love and take care of every day. And that's why we're here, so that's good. Just a little bit of information about parent-teacher conferences. The elementary always does a really good job at getting families here. Not that the middle school and high school don't, it's just a little bit harder to get those parents there. But our elementaries had an 87% attendance rate across the 4 sites. Sequoia had a 95% rate, Cherokee had 87, Greenwood 82, Heritage 84, so they were all just right there together. One thing I did notice is that we tend to gather this data a little bit different from building to building. But I think Amanda at Heritage was actually a little bit higher, but they had gathered it a little bit differently. So we're gonna make sure we're doing it all the same way so we can, it's not a contest, but so we can have good data with the same data points. TMS had 231 visits made to the various classrooms. THS had 237 parent contacts, and Central had 4 parent contacts. So for middle school and high school, that's still quite a few family members running around the high school. I remember when my sons were in high school and it seemed like a ghost town, so that's getting better. I mean, it's getting better every year. Just want to point out that the home and school relationship is vital to our success. So we want to thank our parents that do come to these events and that come to meet the teachers and come to see what's going on in the school. So, thank you for that.
Tammy, did they get to, did they get a note saying they need to come to a conference or that they don't need to come or?
It's on the
Is there
calendar, we send out something on all of our social media, we send something out like on School Messenger. Elementaries most likely are going to set out and put out for appointments. Middle school and high school, I don't believe take appointments. It's kind of a just first come, first serve, whoever wants to be there, unless there's someone that they need to see specifically, and then they would invite them.
They email who they need to see.
We email and then sometimes we try to do some IEPs if we have some parents that have different jobs or they can't get there, we'll try to do some IEPs then, meetings then.
I was just wondering, because I don't think my family went, and I think it's because they thought he did great, but they probably should go if we need those percentages to
I think that
increase.
everyone should go. I mean, problem, no problem, great grades, bad grades, everyone should go and see where their children attend school and the things that they do and the teachers they're with every day.
Might be to
I think it's very
broadcast that a little bit better.
Something we can work on.
Because I think the kids that are parents don't think their kids need it, they don't think about that kind of thing.
And I think they all do. Mother of a 22-year-old college basketball player, but when those 17 men are in my home, they might be 7 foot tall and 25, but they're still little kids. And so I still need to be involved with that. And it doesn't matter if you have a 17-year-old, you still should be involved. And maybe in today's society, you should be even more involved on the things that they have to face in the
I
world.
think
So
it's good for parents to hear the positive about their children too. I mean, even if they don't think they need to go, it's not
yes,
just for.
we all need to hear something good. It's nice to hear something good. Speaking of something good, I really meant to start this with thank you for being the best bosses in the world. Today was Bosses Day. Loved on you a little bit. Say it publicly. I know that they're the best. We always talk about a little bit of our bond update. Interior masonry is basically complete and the building is closed up on the athletic facility. So that's coming right along. It looks beautiful. Have a roof, and so now we can do all the things inside that need to happen. Cherokee Elementary, the footings are finished. They're standing columns ready for steel, or some steel I believe is started. Library sheetrock is mostly up. Waiting for some door frames, so that's slowing some things. And really what's gonna slow that project more than anything else is waiting for the HVAC that we'll have to complete the project. It was ordered on a timely fashion, it's just months and months, we're waiting for it. So it's a slow project. Greenwood Elementary, footings are in progress, slabs should be poured around November 2nd. Parking lot striping completed, so that is good. The last thing that I will say, and then I will stop talking for the night, or we'll go over our department goals. As you know, that's something that we have put a lot of effort and time in, because we know we need to begin with the end in mind. And so with that, it takes goals. And so not only do our schools do goals, and those Par and Deanne will go over those with you next month, but each of our departments do goals that go with our strategic goals for our district. So our district goals are increase academic achievement, create a positive culture, and a safe and secure environment. Those are pretty static goals, and every year we will just have different strategies or different ways to try and increase those goals. So TPS transportation goals, so these are from Mr. Paul Martin. Our yearly goal of 0 accidents. They're tracking and reducing vehicle downtime. They are creating a new inventory system for their shop this year. They put purchase orders out or requisitions out for things that they think they will need for transportation, but they're going to try to spend 10% less than they think they need and help us save money. And a big one for them this year is to encourage, help, and train new drivers within TPS to ensure all activity trips are covered. They're trying to make it easier for staff that we already have to maybe get their CDL. So we get to a certain point in the year where we have a really hard time covering all of the athletic events, and then field trips and spring when every grade is going somewhere. We have a hard time meeting that need. So he's really working on making that attainable for the people that are here on staff already.
For that, do they want to get
I
that?
think we do pay for their CDL. Have we paid for their CDL?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I think Dwayne got
Reimbursed,
Yes, yes. When they pass it. So
And you can get it for 5 years now. It used to be 3 years.
Yeah.
Now you can do 5 and 10.
Carr does have his, we like to point that out, I'll point that out on camera, so now anyone that. Field trip.
Field trip voucher.
Does Mrs. Jones have hers?
I do not. 28 years and I've avoided that, it's like learning how to clean a popcorn machine, I do not wanna know, because then you have to do it. Athletic department goals, culture and climate, that culture outreach thing, kind of what I had mentioned earlier. That's one of his big goals for his department. And planning on partnering with different organizations, businesses, and the university to promote our school and student athletes. It definitely brings a sense of pride to our coaches, students, and the community. Safety is a big one for them. TPS Athletic Department will maintain a safe environment. We've put lots of new safety procedures into play this year. We're also doing the ID badges, checking the doors and gates. He has an AD, a principal, an SRO at every home event. Because of a horrible tragedy, we actually ended up with more help at games this year than ever from our community. If you have not been to a football game, you should go, because our community has shown up big. Matt has arranged as many people as he possibly can and leveraged within our environment, but Chief King has every officer that he can possibly get here there. So, I mean, we're likely to have 20 uniformed officers between the county, highway patrol, the city, and our own SROs at every game. And something else, as a department, they're continuing to make changes based on the venue and the crowds. Constant communication, that's something that he has worked at, that he knows to keep safe, that he's got to keep in constant communication. Next slide. Finance goals. Goal 1, Sabrina's goal is to claim 100% of federal grants monthly. She does a wonderful job on this. I will brag on this in case she's listening in Washington, D.C. right now. We've not always had a history of claiming on a timely basis, and that is imperative to be good stewards of our money and to stay in the good graces of those who give us the money. And so that is done correctly now. I'm very proud to say that. Also working on creating a positive culture for the finance staff. She knows that if her staff feels valued, loved, and appreciated, they're more likely to stay. And a revolving door is hard. If you train someone and they leave, you never get that continuity. And so really working on culture to try and keep the staff here. And safety procedures, they also were helping us work on our safety procedures. Big goals for the department are to increase financial planning capacity, to make sure that we have our best practices and our carryover. I mean, as you know, she is relatively new to her position like I am, and you're never in the land of done. You should always be a lifelong learner, and although we feel like we're doing the best we can on every given day right now, we know that we always have something to learn. And so she has put a lot of time and effort into really learning about school finance. And we also are going to have a goal of finding and implementing an electronic system for payments and donations. Something we've struggled with a bit, but we've got to find something that works for everyone. Was the ghost or the yearbook? I'm assuming it was yearbook. Oh, it was Devin. Okay, of course. And those are our finance goals for the year. So operation goals, we are going to change out all fluorescent lighting to LED to reduce energy consumptions through a management program, something we're in the middle of, and we're going to do even more projects very quickly, hopefully, after this evening. Also, going to the next 12 months, would like to a 30% reduction in equipment failure. And he too, in inventorying equipment, has specific people that are looking at, has been leveraging his staff and very, very intentional to make sure that we are keeping things working well, so you don't have downtime and then we can't do what we need to do in our district. And they too are right with us with our safety measures. They know the importance of locking doors, wearing badges, And they are helping us to implement that across the district. The locked doors, especially to the exterior, is the number one deterrent from keeping something bad happening in our school, other than our resource officers in our school. And we're doing a really good job at that, but I think we're doing a really good job at that because everybody is very aware of the importance of that goal. Technology, with Mr. Robert, we'll have a 99% uptime related to servers, switches, internet, and wireless. I should really even just let him read this because I don't speak his language. I'm not very good at it. But I know that he has worked hard to
Does uptime just sort of
update those.
the opposite of downtime, meaning it's working?
Yep.
Okay.
And he's shooting for the stars at 99.9%. I like that. That's a good goal. Also a positive culture, and by their office works on culture for the district. By 90% of the work orders will be completed on time. They have a really good record. I mean, that you get things in and they get things fixed. So he does a great job on that. And also on safety, that no non-school issued devices will have access to our internal servers, printers, fire, climate, etc. And that will lower our risk for security breaches on site. We know that's something that's very real in these days. And I feel like he has done all he knows to do at the moment that we can do to keep our data and our district safe, and is always looking to see how we can improve something. So these are our district directors that we have just went over their goals, and I'm just so proud of this team. Matt mentioned, we meet every Monday morning, and I start every meeting with what they just love. I make them say, how they bring value to the team, or what's their favorite part of their job, or what's the one I say most of the time that you guys prepare for, and then I switch it up.
Tell me something good.
Tell me something good. Yeah. So we just try to start on a personal note, and I talked a little bit at this meeting, but it takes every one of us to make this district run. We can't have school without technology, and we can't have school without the bills being paid. And we can't have school if the buildings are not working. We need child nutrition, we need transportation to get kids here. So every one of these people are vital at making this district run. So I'm just very, very happy that they are part of our team and very proud of them. That is my presentation, and I didn't save time either, guys, did I?
Excuse me, we're an hour in. Are you guys good to? All right, item G, presentation by ESP Energy Solution Professionals summarizing their preliminary energy analysis findings, presenting potential next steps for developing an energy saving project, and identifying a proposal for the district-wide lighting upgrade project that would be completely paid for by savings. And we have had, just for anyone, the school board members were able in a non-forum setting to attend like an informational, non-quorum setting, to attend an informational presentation about that. So we were able to go through this in depth and ask our questions in kind of individual meetings ahead of the presentation and some of the items we're gonna be voting on here tonight. So this is kind of a shortened version of what we set through. And ask a lot of questions.
I think that's your way of telling me I'm supposed to make up stories.
We only gave you 15 minutes anyway, and then I saw the slides and I'm like, that's all it is. So we're here to do work, so we're not rushing.
No, so I will do what I can to try to keep them on time, but I do wanna share, this team here, man, the questions that they asked and the things that they made me reveal to them is incredible. I mean, you're a really talented, smart group, and they're doing the right things. And so it's actually an honor to be here and be able to talk and give a little bit more information. And thank you for the time and the consideration that you've given up to this point. It sincerely is appreciated by myself and our whole team. And so thank you for the opportunity. I will try to fly through it, and I guess maybe I'll do something like this. There you go. All good. We're going to talk a little bit about what energy performance contracting is, and then the main thing that we did up to this point is we've done a preliminary energy analysis for the district. And so we looked at your utilities and your facilities, and we tried to figure out ways to save energy. And that really is gonna be the bulk of what we talk about. Stemming from that was that your district has just a great opportunity for this conversion from fluorescent to LED lighting, and that will generate a lot of energy savings, while at the same time having a real material impact on the learning environment and improve the schools and make it a better place to be for the students. And I think that's what we're all here to try to achieve. So talk a little bit about what the next steps are and how we go about that we might be able to help you moving forward. So I think that's the main stuff that we'll talk about and go from there. So energy performance contracting. A lot of people have never heard of it, but it is actually a tool, it's a procurement tool that's been around. I've earned my gray hairs, I've been doing this over 30 years, and literally all of that time has been in the energy performance contracting arena. The state of Oklahoma has an enabling legislation that allows public entities to enter into projects where the company that they partner with has to identify and then guarantee that energy savings will pay for whatever improvements that we recommend. And so that's the foundation of our relationship. The benefits are really far-reaching. They're financial, but also technical, personal, and we want to help the community and the business as well. And so in a nutshell, we're here to try to help you reduce your operating costs and invest that money back in your schools and your students. And so rather than sending money out to the utility company, you invest some of this budget that you already have. You're paying your utilities every day, but rather than send all of that out to a utility company, let's invest some of that money in your students, right? So that's the objective. And really, this is maybe so cliche and maybe a little bit, but my father was a pastor, and so he kind of ingrained in me that you're supposed to be a good steward of the resources that you're put in charge of kind of managing. And so really this is an opportunity for us to help you be good stewards of the resources that you have available to you. So I do want to stress that even though you maybe haven't heard of this, this is something that's been around for a long time. And when it's implemented properly, it really is a win-win situation for both the school and the company, and of course for your community and your students. So graphically, hope to just show that not that your facilities are in crummy shape, but that's why we have the gray, no color picture of your school, and then after we're here, oh, it's all bright and fancy, right? But the main thing is that your current utility costs are on the left there. And that's a budget that you always pay, right? If you don't pay your utility bills, you can't very well have a school, right? So we're tapping into this budget piece that you always pay, and we're gonna help you identify ways through lighting and heating and air conditioning and water and a whole variety of systems that consume utilities that you can improve the efficiency and send less to the utility company and invest that then 20 to 30% back in yourself. And so that's the objective of what energy performance contracting is. So it is a viable tool when it's implemented properly, right? And so let's talk, so that's I don't know if there's any questions. We asked most of the questions before, so I'll just fire right through it, right? So this preliminary energy analysis that we did, the objective of it was for us to help you understand if there is an economically and technically viable opportunity for an energy savings project to do this concept of energy performance contracting, right? And so in order to accomplish that, the preliminary analysis, we have to look at your utility costs and how much you're spending, and so we view that as kind of the macro level of we need to understand how much you're using, how much you're paying for it. And then the EUI, I'm sorry, I try to get all of the acronyms out of my slides, but I'm an engineer, so I have lots of acronyms, right? EUI is Energy Utilization Index, and that means where are you consuming the most energy? What systems in your buildings are consuming the most energy? As it turns out, your schools, over 50% of your energy is in your base load electric. That means lighting, computers, fans, those kind of things, motors, okay? Over 50% of the $815,000 you're spending annually in your schools, so that's a pretty big amount of money that you're spending, right? Over 400,000 of that is in lighting, fans, motors. So that's obviously a place we need to look to try to find savings for the district, okay? Knowing the utilities is only half the story. We also have to understand what kind of equipment do you have in your schools? What are you doing in terms of what systems are consuming energy? So we have to look at your facilities, and this is where Brad and our team, we spent a lot of time together. And I do kind of owe, even though he's not here, I would have preferred to tell him straight to his face, which I have done a number of times. But man, he's good at what he does. And I mean that genuinely. There are a lot of times we go into districts and you ask the facilities director, so what kind of heating and air conditioning system do you have in this school? Yeah, something that keeps it cool and heats it in the way, I mean, literally, they don't know. And Brad sat down, I have this spreadsheet, I'm somewhat embarrassed, except also kind of proud. We've got this big spreadsheet that identifies roof, windows, doors, lighting, heating and air conditioning system, water systems. And man, he was able to sit down with us and just go through every building, every system, and tell us this is good, this is bad, these are the things where I really need some help. So we know a lot about your facilities just from a preliminary analysis, primarily because Brad knows a lot about your facilities, okay? And so what we know from talking with him, and then we did spend a little bit of our time too walking through your facilities and getting to know the equipment and the systems. Some things you just, no matter how good you are at your job, if you have a 50-year-old piece of equipment, there's not much you can do about it, right? So you have systems and equipment that is past its useful life that would absolutely benefit from being replaced with more efficient systems. There are also some scenarios where you have equipment that is just not the greatest design. And as an engineer, I never want to castigate another engineer, but I can tell you, unfortunately, we do make mistakes. We're humans, right? And so there are some systems that would just benefit from being tweaked and being retrofit to a different system. So there's a lot of opportunities. The biggest one is lighting, controls, and heating and air conditioning systems, okay? Those two things give us an idea of what the savings potential in your district is. And I didn't spend a whole lot of time, but you're spending about $816,000 a year. The reality is we almost always can find at least 20%. In your district, your benchmark, how much you're spending on a cost per square foot perspective is about $1.33. When we've completed energy efficient projects for districts similar in size and nature to yours, we oftentimes get them down in the 75 to 80 cents a square foot. So that's a big savings, right? So we're being a little conservative in what we think we can save, and there's a reason for that that you'll find out a little later when I explain that if we can't perform and meet the level of what we say here, then you don't ever owe us any money, okay? So I have to be a little conservative, but the reality is we think we can save somewhere between 170 and we say 270 there. Really, we can probably be better than that, okay? And what that means is that if you're saving that much out of the annual cost that you send to your utility, that's an amount that you can pay annually to pay off money that you borrow to get improvements in your facilities, okay? But you're not going to the community and asking for an increased tax because you're getting it done with your existing budget. And so it's a really great way to secure a lot of improvements, from 1.3 to 2.7 million dollars of stuff that you can get improvements in your facilities without having to raise taxes or getting, find a way to get more money from the community. So it's kind of an exciting opportunity, right? Since we've talked about that the biggest thing is lighting, we went ahead and kind of on our own dime, we got our engineers and our lighting specialists to come in, and we did a very thorough audit of every single room, every single light that's in your district. And we put together a guaranteed cost and a guaranteed savings, so the numbers that you see on this table are absolutely guaranteed. If we made a mistake and the cost ends up being higher, it's on us to implement the scope that we provide for the costs that we've identified. And we have to guarantee the savings, okay? So this is a fairly low risk opportunity for the district to get done, which is one of Brad's objectives. You identified it on the slide there. I didn't even know that he had never told me point blank that that was one of his objectives. But one of the things that's interesting about this is that, and this is just a testament to Brad, is not only interested in having this facilities work, but he really is constantly telling us, at least when we talk to him and work with him, you need to make sure that you take into account the learning environment and that we're doing the right thing for the students. And so in addition to looking at the LED lighting, we also evaluated including dimming capability in every classroom. And so that's what this proposal would include, okay? And you can see it's still a 5-year payback, so it's a great return on investment, but it also has a huge positive impact on the learning environment, okay? That cost also includes a lot of things, shelf stock and pre and post measurements by our team, so you'll know we're meeting IES lighting standards and that we will actually measure the amount of energy that the lighting system is consuming now, and then we measure how much it's consuming afterwards, so you have documented proof, and we'll let Brad and his team or whoever you want to witness those measurements so you know you're getting what we said, okay? That's it. From a cash flow perspective, the kind of exciting thing about this is it's about an $800,000 cost, but it generates, and it's kind of hard to see the numbers down at the bottom, but the total amount of savings that are generated is over $3 million. So over a 20-year period, this is going to generate almost $2.4 million of positive cash flow for the district by doing this lighting project. So it's pretty hard to find anything that would pay for itself 3 times over, So this is a great opportunity, both technically and from a learning environment perspective, but also financially. So I think that was, we talked a lot about the financing, so I'll go on to the next one. And so what are the next steps? We did this preliminary analysis. Per the enabling, and I do need to be clear, we actually responded to an RFP and we were selected by you guys to provide this preliminary analysis. And now the next step is to do an investment grade audit per the enabling legislation in Oklahoma. And so we've presented that, and we'll take a quick look at that in a minute. But that is the next step, and that's where we come in and we take a much more detailed look at your facilities. We take pre and post pre-measurements so we understand what's going on in the building. After the investment grade audit, we would do an energy performance contract. We purposely, with some guidance from you guys and from Brad, we went ahead and did the investment grade audit level analysis of the lighting already. And so we have firm fixed cost savings numbers for that, and we can actually sign the lighting performance contract piece right now. We could go in. Our lighting contractor has said that if we get this approved tonight, he'll finish by the end of the year. That's his commitment. And so the great thing about that, if you think about and you probably didn't focus on the savings that were before, but it's about $145,000, so that's $12,000 a month. So the sooner you get this project implemented, the sooner you start pocketing that money, right? So I was kind of excited on your behalf that we had a lighting contractor that was willing to engage right away and get going. So that just means better opportunity for you to save. The balance, if we would look at some of the heating and air conditioning and controls and other opportunities, which we talked about in depth previously, we would try to have the investment grade audit for those things done by the first part of 2024, and would look to be able to give you a plan for implementing those things in the spring and summer of 24, so that all that stuff could be ready by school start next year, okay? That's it. The investment grade audit, I think one of the key things there is we had worked with you all to submit for the Renew America Schools grant, and some of that effort kind of overlaps with what this investment grade audit analysis would be, so we've discounted the audit fee. And I do want to stress, I mentioned it before, that if we can't come up with a fully paid from savings project in the magnitude of what we've identified in this preliminary analysis, you won't know it's for the investment grade audit, okay? We will. I'm completely confident that we will. But in addition, ironically, if you approve the lighting project tonight, that is an energy project, so we'll discount that fee by 25%, okay? Next one. So in summary, the energy performance contracting is a procurement tool. It's a way to get stuff done in your schools. It is part of Oklahoma statutes. It's something that you're allowed to do. It's a reinvestment in your schools, and there's a lot of benefits. We did actually submit for financing proposals, and we got at least a couple. I don't know, I was driving on the way here, and so I'm not sure if we got more or not. But the one that we got that right now on the surface anyhow looks to be the best value is a local bank. And I do want to stress that that's one of the things that we're firm believers in, is that this is a program that allows improvements within your schools, but it also generates a real material financial opportunity for your community. And so it enhances the people in your community that have jobs that are heating and air conditioning and light and those things. We'll look to engage them, so it also becomes an economic boon to your community. And so we feel good about that. I have some slides in there that have some details about us. I'm kind of bashful about bragging about our company, but I will say something about our team, and that is that we've been doing this a really long time. And like Kenny over here is a retired superintendent. He's from Tahlequah. Probably a lot of you know him, whether you like him or not, I don't know. But
his wife works for us, that's the only reason we like him.
Well, exactly, I understand, yeah. She's salt of the earth, right? Him, I don't know.
And his daughters.
So, but we are a totally independent company. We don't have any ties to any vendor or manufacturer or any other engineering firm or anything, and so we kind of cling to that fairly strongly, that our whole purpose is to provide the best service to you possible and to help you find the best solutions for your situation, not to push some agenda of we have something to sell you. And as the owner of the company, I can tell you there's a reason that we've had offers to be bought by vendors, and I'm just not interested in that, because I like to be able to say, no, we want to look at 5 or 6 and we'll pick the right one, right? Hopefully, even though we went through it pretty quick, we are very transparent, and I hope that was clear in our conversations and stuff, is we're going to tell you every labor and material dollar that the bids are, and what our service costs are, and what we're trying to make from a profit perspective. We are a for-profit company. I have a couple kids that I'm trying to put through college, and we've got 15 families that are supporting their people. So we are going to try to make a profit, but a fair profit, not a crazy one. Stewardship, that really is what it all comes down to for our company and for the people that work for us. And we'd love to have the opportunity to help you make a better situation for your students and for your community. So that's it. I think I was at 17 minutes instead of 15.
All right, any questions?
I have one question. So the lighting will be in by January. We sign that tonight?
Yes.
When do they work? I mean, will it be working during class time or at night?
No, yeah, that's a fantastic question. 100% of our installing crews will be here second and third shift, and they would love it if you would let them be here on the weekend. And so no, the work is done. We've done a lot of our business has been in schools, and so we understand we can't disrupt the classroom environment. So when they leave at the end of the day, it'll be fluorescent lights, and when they come back in the morning, it'll be dimmable LED lights. It'll be a better look, right? So.
I've made a few notes as we've done this, and this was something I was a little nervous about at the very beginning because it's a little out of the ordinary. It's not something the school district had done in the past, which is why I asked them to do very long, inclusive Zooms with these ladies, not in a quorum setting, so they could ask all the questions that they possibly might want to ask about this. We pointed out a few things that I had made notes about, but one of the things that it can be a boost to our local economy. As he mentioned, it was important to us, and it was to him actually even, to ask local banks that are very supportive of what we do on every day anyhow. So we can help there, and we can use local vendors, those people that probably have family members, kids, or have attended or will attend TPS. So local ties there. It is a win-win situation on leveraging what we pay. We are spending the money right now, but we pay our local electric company. We are not going to spend more money than we're spending right now. We're just going to pay, hopefully, a local bank to make the payment to leverage that money to improve what we have right now. We have some much-needed improvements, so we do the best with what we have, but some of our things, like you said, you can only put so many Band-Aids on something that's 50 years old. And so we've got a lot of things that we could fix, and so this will help us do that. And what's important to me about it is we can do that without looking towards our next bond. You all know we have a much lower bonding capacity than most districts, so every dollar that we can squeeze out of a bond, we want to have the projects that we have our dreams about. This lets us fix the less glamorous things in a different manner. He has said this word multiple times, and I made him even show me multiple times. Guarantee. This is a guarantee that we will save this money and it will work the way he is saying, or they pay it. We pay it. It's guaranteed. He threw Kenny under the bridge a little bit. Bridges. And I said,
Oh,
Kenny,
Papa.
I said, I know where you live. You are sitting at this table with me, and you have brought this to us and to his community where his family does work. That says a lot. I mean, it says a lot from a man that we trust anyways, and I joke with him about that, but I mean, it's personal to him. It's something that, yes, we raise capital, so in a circumstance where money declines in a certain year and we need extra money to be able to pay for teachers, we could use that, or we can turn around and put it right back into our loan and pay it off faster and work on something else. The learning environment, Brad's done a lot of research on learning environment. I mean, many of you know, learning styles and the things to do with lighting and what's important on how you learn and how you test, and there's tons of research on that. And you go into our classrooms right now, and to make that happen in a lot of our rooms, we cover the lights. Well, we're still paying for you pointed out, we're still paying for the electricity, we're just dulling what comes out of it. So we're going to fix that where it costs less to start with. Some of you sit in a room with me every week when we go through the current bond projects, and you know how entertaining that could be on any given day. But his company serves as, I will say, the best way I can explain it is the construction management and architect company like we would have from a bond project. So it's all in one, which is easier in itself. So we're not putting tons of more work on an employee that's already helping us with a $14 million bond, but they take care of that for us. So I'm super excited about what this can do for our district, and I hope that you ladies are as well.
One of the things I'm glad that we're getting rid of the fluorescent lights because they actually do trigger seizures for some kids. I had kids that I had to put in another lighting area when I was teaching because they would have seizures from the lighting. So getting rid of that is awesome.
It's interesting, you know, when you think about it, people don't have fluorescent lights in their house, you
Right.
know, and, but yet our kids spend, you know, 7 hours a day sitting under these lights that nobody likes because they're bright and harsh and, you know, I said that we actually had a decision to make, or we will be making a decision tonight on our vote. We could have done straight LED lights with no dimmers available or, for an extra cost of a dimmer. So we will have the LED lights with dimmers in all, classroom spaces at TPS. So I wanna just real quick, I don't have any other questions, but what we're going to vote on tonight is to do the investment grade audit for the rest of the systems outside of lighting, because they already did it for the lighting. We are voting on the contract to go forward with the lighting project with LED and dimmer switches in all of our classrooms. And then we're voting to authorize Ms. Jones to enter into negotiations regarding the loan. So we will likely call a special meeting next week if we have the paperwork done to vote to approve the loan. So the practical process of what we're doing is the school district is borrowing money to pay upfront for this project. And again, hopefully with the local bank, we don't know that yet, but then we will make loan payments until that is paid off with the savings that we are guaranteed to recognize from the improvements here. And I didn't know anything about this process that, you know, when you think about it, schools don't usually take out loans. We sometimes finance like equipment, buses and that type of thing, but we don't go take loans. And this is a state law that allows not just schools, government entities, colleges do this, others under this process with approved groups under this approved structure to take out this loan, guarantee the savings and pay it back and make these upgrades. And again, we're not having to ask for bond money, we're not having to take it out of general fund. But the thing that I was most surprised about this, and when you think about your home electric bill, that 52% of our utility usage was from, what was the
Baseload electric.
baseload, so it's not heating and air. And when you just think about that from paying your home electric bill, you know, heating and air are 70%, 80% of your bill because you see how much it fluctuates on those really hot or really cold.
Yeah.
And this idea that, I mean, literally by replacing, and I know it's not just replacing light bulbs because you don't put a LED bulb always in the same fluorescent system, so it's replacing the lighting system, but by replacing the lights in our school that we, you know, impact 50, I know it doesn't cut it 50%, but it impacts half of our electricity usage.
Yeah.
And that was real, again, just from a home, you know, running your household and paying your bills, seeing that, and because I asked the question
can
several
that be?
times, because I was like, what? 52% of our entire bill is not heating and air electric, and that was really surprising to me. So I think you're right, you know, we've looked at all these numbers, and I think we're probably gonna realize more savings, and either, again, we will decide through the budgeting process whether we pay that loan off early, or if we make, you know, an additional savings that year, we want it to go into gen fund, or we want it to go to something else because we have something to use, then we can do that. So it was very interesting. I'm excited that this was brought to us and that we've got the opportunity to vote on it tonight. Questions, comments? All right, I think we have these listed all under H, but I think we need to do them separately since they're all different. And I'll volunteer to read and make the motion on them because I think we need the whole thing. So with that, I make a motion to approve item H1, investment grade audit agreement with Energy Solution Professionals LLC, which is required per 70 Oklahoma statute section 5-131.2 2002 for energy saving projects. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Make a motion to approve item H2, energy performance contracting agreement with Energy Solutions Professionals LLC for TPS district lighting project. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions or discussion? Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. And item H3, move to grant authority for Superintendent Jones or designee to enter into negotiations with provider offering best value response to the RFP for financing of EPC lighting project for a tax exempt municipal lease financing agreement per 70 Oklahoma statute section 5-131.2, 2002. Do I have a second? Any further question or discussion? Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, so good, there's a lady break? Yes. Okay. We don't have to adjourn, we'll just announce that we're taking a 5-minute bathroom break. Bathroom break. Just a 5-minute break.
I gotta run.
Alright, we have returned from a short break. We are on item I, activity fund custodian to report and discussion vote to approve or not approve the monthly financials.
Alrighty, so the bank balance at the end of September was $7,842,904.27. Receipts for the month of September for general fund were $2,837,179.42. Building fund, $45,790.10. Sinking fund, $25,517.39. The bank balance at the end of September for general fund is $3,842,117.74. Building fund, $2,404,676.23. Bond fund, $500. Sinking fund, $120,984.75. Activity fund balance at the end of September was $1,192,556.39. For utilities, the difference between this September and last September, electric increased by $4,785.10. Water decreased by $1,163.74. And gas decreased by $98.27. Do you have any questions?
Alright, do I have a motion to approve items I1 and 2?
I tell them.
I'll second.
Any questions for Ms. Coleman? Ms. Cobbin? Aye. Ms. Crawford? And aye. We now have Deputy Treasurer to present via video and discussion and vote to approve or not approve the 23-24 operational budget.
So Miss Sabrina is in Washington DC area tonight. She was asked to present at a national conference, which is a great honor in itself. So she has videoed the budget presentation and is on speakerphone on my phone. So if we have questions, we will be able to ask her. Sabrina, can you hear us? Okay. So we will begin the video. You should have your handout, she will.
I'm going to present to you the 23-24 budget guide for the town of Public Schools. You have your handy dandy budget book here that you can look through and follow along. So this year our budget book looks a little bit different. We kind of took a different route this year and made it a little bit more informative. So if you will go to page 7, that's where we're gonna start. This is the enrollment and membership summary from 2015 to 2023. And you'll notice that top portion is the actual student enrollment on October 1st for all of those years. If you notice that our enrollment is staying steady, we're anywhere between 3,500 to 3,600 students for a few years. And then the bottom part is the ADM, which is the average daily membership. The FY weighted average daily membership numbers are the major numbers that are used to calculate state aid for our district. You can see our numbers are very stable. We'll go to the next page, page 8. This page shows that our carryover is growing towards our $5 million goal. Since last year, our general fund carryover increased $771,663.73. And then you can see that it goes all the way back to 2009, 2010. And then if you look at the building fund increased $1,426,411.23. The bottom of that page, it's just the number of our certified teachers, our support professionals, our administrators, for total employees of 497. If you will turn to page 12, this is the administrative projections for the current fiscal year. This year, the state aid formula saw an increase of $127 per weighted student, which resulted in an increase of $2,517,537 for Tahlequah Public Schools. While not making up for the large loss last year, it along with ESSER funds has put our school budget in a stronger position than last year. The state revenue picture for this year appears strong for now. It is generally agreed that it is unlikely that schools will see cuts in state aid for this year. This year's state aid allocation is $19,668,281.56. Our local valuation revenue increased this year. This increase will result in more local revenue collected, but that increase is charged against our state aid. It will also increase our bonding capacity. Our estimated general fund expenses for the year are around $38,910,101.68, which is approximately $6,359,315.92 below our anticipated revenue. The federal ESSER funds will result in higher expenditures than normal. It is very important to understand that these funds are one-time funds that will only last through FY24. Projection for the upcoming year. As stated earlier, our budget utilizing federal ESSER funds will make us financially strong this year. Some sources feel that next year's state revenue picture is still positive. Oil and gas production are doing well. We will have to monitor our student counts and the return of students who have left to try other instructional options during the pandemic. We will be very careful to limit new expenditures to ESSER funds. The building fund is stable. It will continue to be utilized to maintain our facilities. When possible and if needed, some general fund maintenance expenses will be transferred to the building fund in order to protect the general fund.
See if you have any questions, you can stop it.
Now,
That
if you
is a
will
question
turn
I
to
have. What does that
page,
mean?
Robert, can you stop for just a second? What was your question, Stephanie?
Okay, so it's when possible and if needed, some general maintenance expenses will be transferred to the building fund in order to protect the general fund. Can you explain that statement to me?
So we can use building fund to pay the utilities, to do all the operational things that we have. But we would prefer to take that out of general fund as much as possible, because we can use the building fund as a savings account of sorts to do big capital projects. If we were going to want to build a new building, they built the cafeteria at Cherokee years ago, and Sabrina, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they did that mostly out of building fund where they had saved enough money in building fund to do that independent of a bond. So that is a way that we could do some large project at some point. So we'll try to leave as much of that in that fund as possible, knowing that if we have to, we can roll some of those operational expenses over there. But we don't wanna take all of that to start with. We'd rather use general fund to start with.
Thank you.
22. This is looking at our budget from the general fund. The 23-24 budget revenue is based on the following. Ad valorem property tax collections. The 23-24 net assessed property valuation, $89,534,434 increased 6.7% from the 22-23 valuation, which was $83,634,624. The other way that we get revenue is from state aid. State aid will be recalculated in January to update the 23-24 ad valorem collections and to update 23-24 9-week attendance, special child count category numbers, and teacher index numbers. We also get revenue from federal monies. Those are all the grants that we have. Now, if you will turn to page 24. This is the approved appropriations for the 23-24 fiscal year. You'll notice that these are all the revenue sources. So at the top, there's the local sources, and then it goes to the intermediate sources, the state sources, and then the federal sources, and then that gives us our approved appropriations for the year, which is $45,269,500 $417.60. If you turn to the next page, this is revenue at a glance. This is the projected revenue by source for the general fund. If you notice that 10% of our revenue is local, 2% is county, 23% is state, 63% is state, and 25% is federal. And then if you go down, you'll notice what the projected state aid is, what the actual state aid was for the year, and what the difference was. So last year we had a return increase of $878,713.02. You go to page 25, you will see this is the projected expenditures for 23-24 out of the general fund. So as far as instruction, we're looking at $20,021,447.84. Support services, $17,216,015.52. Operations, $1,486,154.82. Facilities and construction, which is a $1,164,357.26. And other outlays, which is a function $5,022,126.24. That gives an actual working budget amount of $38,910,101.68. So then you look at our approved estimate of needs amount, which is $45,269,417.60, and that gives us a carryover for next year of $6,359,315.92.
You might pause
The
this for a
next
second.
page,
That's obviously in a perfect world. So we know what we have, an estimate of needs, what we can spend. We know with the expenditures that we know we will have are 38,910,000 some change. That would leave us 6.3. That's with nothing ever going wrong, and I would love to say that would happen, but it won't. But it still is a very healthy, overage to keep us where we were at least last year. And then maybe with a positive midterm adjustment, that can even go higher.
this is a breakdown.
All the revenue that they say is gonna come in has to come in also.
Okay, so what Sabrina said, that's also based on what they said our revenue will be, and sometimes things under collect. Like last year, I believe, Sabrina, was motor vehicle tax that way under collected. So they tell us what they think we will get, and that's where that 45 million comes. But if it under collects, then obviously that discrepancy shortens and we have less of a carryover.
The revenue and expenditures for the past few years, and then what we are projecting as revenue and expenditures this year. If you go on to the next page, this is the building fund projected expenditures. So for support services, which is a function 2,000, we are projecting $592,693.39. Our budgeted estimate of needs amount for the building fund is $3,254,562.65, which gives us a carryover of $2,404,856.06. If you look on page 28, this is a breakdown also of the past few years and then what we are projecting as revenue this year and expenses this year. One thing that we do not have on here is how much we're getting in Redbud funds because we don't know yet. So our revenue will increase once we know what those funds are. As of right now, we still do not know what those funds are. If you look at the next page, then you are going to see a breakdown of the utilities, fuel, and our insurance and other liabilities for the past few years, and then what we have projected for this year. So if you just look at the utilities for last year and then what we are projecting for this year, we're gonna see an increase in utilities as $166,829.30. And then the other big increase is in our property liability insurance. If you'll notice that last year we paid $595,509. This year we paid $683,954. That is an increase of $88,445.
And you might also notice on there from FY '24 proposed to from FY '21, it doubled. In FY '21, it was $331,000 for property liability, and this year will be $683,000. So more than a 50% increase in a couple years, which is happening to every school in the state, but it's killing people.
But isn't that because we didn't have enough insured?
Well,
on a lot
some
our
of it
sites?
was that we were underinsured
Yeah,
on some of our spaces. You have to make sure that you're insured enough that if something catastrophic was to happen, that you could rebuild. And so we did not have enough money in some instances that we could have rebuilt. But we've also gone through, as Sabrina has, Brad has, and diligently taken off things that didn't need to be on there or changed up. So some of it was because we increased, but most of it because of the cost of insurance as well.
All of the new things we're adding, is that,
They will have to be put on the schedule for the next year, so we'll have another increase.
Okay.
And this goes over the sinking fund. It kind of gives you an explanation of what it is. And the sinking fund deals with our bond. So then if you look at the summary of the sinking fund requirements and tax levies, this is our new bond that we have that we're in the process of right now. It shows you what our payments are going to be and what years we make those payments and how long the bond goes for. On the next page, you will see a history of the net assessed valuations for Southwell Public Schools from all the way back to 1997, 1998, and then what the valuation is this year and what the increase is. The important thing with this is if the higher net assessed valuation, the higher bonding capacity we have for a district. You go to the next page, it is also a projection of net assessed evaluations, but this is for the future, this is what they're projecting for the future, and it shows you the amounts there, and then there's also a graph. And then the last numbers that I put in, this is just a breakdown of our October 2nd enrollment numbers. So you can see that at the beginning, on October 2nd of this year, that we were less 2 students. And you can see per grade where we are down those students or where we're increased those students. And that's it for the budget. Do you have any questions?
No. She mentioned at the beginning of that so COSA puts out a budget book that was very comprehensive, and we had a really good format before. But what we did is we took COSA's information, we took what we have done in the past and made what worked for Sabrina, and what we thought would be giving you guys the very most information to make good decisions for our district. And we try to keep a lot of history in here so we can see when things have gone well, the way we've handled it, and when things have been hard, the way we've handled it. That way we can learn from the past. Sabrina, do you have anything to add?
Alright, thank you,
Good job,
ma'am.
Sabrina.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Do I have a motion to approve the FY 23-24 operational budget?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Coppin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Item K, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the following surplus. Do I have a motion to approve items K1 and 2?
I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ms. Coppin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Item L, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the following bids and quotes. Do I have a motion to approve items L1, 2, and 3?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item N, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the acceptance of settlement funds from France Law Group, APLC for the Jewel School District vaping lawsuit. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? This is the class action lawsuit that we've been involved with for vaping in schools. And this is the last settlement that we have to agree to just say, yes, we will take the settlement.
$7,000?
It was a very small amount, yes. But $7,000 we'll take,
$7,000.
yeah, $7,000 we didn't have. Ms. Cobbin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Do I have a motion to approve item N 1 through 3?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a second. Any discussion?
We did edit the trips so it didn't look like Stan King was going in.
I didn't see the picture.
He's a real guy.
Alright. Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item O, discussion of vote to approve or not approve transferring of persons responsible for TPS PO Box account with United States Postal Service from Diane Adamson to Brittany Bloodsworth. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will make that motion.
And I will second it.
Any discussion? Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item P, discussion of vote to approve or not approve the schedule of encumbrances. Do I have a motion to approve item P 1 and 2?
I'll make that motion to approve.
And I'll second it.
Any discussion? Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Item Q, discussion and vote to approve or not approve recognition of academic credit as offered by any Capital Career and Technology Center, Talpa and Muskogee campuses includes weighted laboratory science credit, health career certification designated as anatomy, and weighted lab science and math credit for students enrolled in AP Physics and AP Calculus and OSSM. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will make a motion.
I will second.
Any discussion? Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item R, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the revision of the following policy, 5375 graduation requirements. Do I have a motion to approve item R1?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
The biggest change on this was adding an alternative diploma for students that take the ORAT. So it was all just legislative changes that needed to be changed in policy.
Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item S, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the 23-24 TPS Gifted and Talented Education Plan. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
And Miss Libby Osborne is here if you guys have any questions
Oh, yeah.
about the GT plan. She works hard with her committee and all of our students to create a very inclusive plan that I would say is probably used as a state model. And we just thought we'd have her here in case you had any questions.
We don't.
We're glad you came to see us tonight, but.
It's so mean. Wait, let me think really hard, maybe I can answer the question.
How does a student get to be in gifted and talented?
Well, we have updated that quite a bit on how we do that. We have referral forms. They can be referred for possible placement in the gifted program by parent, peer, community member, teacher, really just basically anyone. We've made those forms available in on our website in a link. We have them available in both English and Spanish because we've worked really hard the last few years on equity and trying to make sure that our gifted program represents the demographics of the whole district. So, does that answer? But anyway,
Yes.
that's the first part. They get referred, and then we gather a body of evidence to see if they do qualify for the program. There's 2 ways to qualify. One is called Category 1, and that's your kids who test on a nationally standardized test of intelligence at the 97th percentile or above. The other way is a multi-criteria placement, where we do have to gather other things, and we look at kids who have scored between the 86th and 96th percentile on those tests. We do 2 different tests. We started testing grade levels. We test 2nd grade and we test 5th grade. I just finished up with our 5th grade testing as a grade level test. And that has been really good, and it's a nonverbal abilities test, which also helps get those kids who maybe don't speak the language, because as one of my favorite people say, Colin Seal, who was a Think Law founder, that brilliance is distributed equally throughout our population, however opportunity is not. We're trying to change that, to make should do that.
I have one more. Once they're in, do they stay in?
And they do.
I thought my kids are in it, and they didn't test again, so I assume,
Yes, no,
I know they're going.
right, they do not have to test again. And so, yes, they're in unless, for some reason you'd want to withdraw them. If they want to withdraw, we have had that a couple of times, and the kid goes, I don't wanna do this anymore, and so we have to kind of get to the root of that, and then after we talk with the parent, it's like, no, they do want to be in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, parents like, no, they're staying.
They were wrong, they do want to be in, they just didn't know it.
Get a brain lapse.
So,
Anything else?
Libby.
You're welcome.
All right, we had a motion and a second. Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Discussion and vote to approve or not approve the 2024 Board of Education meetings. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Any discussion?
These stay pretty, the same, the third Tuesday of the month is what we shoot for. So it's pretty static. There are 2 months, the month of July and the month of October, that are 1 week following. In July, I should be at a conference with our new grant. And in October, we'll be working on the calendar. That falls in the same week as Indigenous Peoples' Day and fall break for next year. So it's a weird week that we're not sure how it's going to work on the school calendar, so we thought it best to go ahead and move it back just in case.
We
So
have
it's on October's on one.
October 22nd.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
Aye. And now it's approved, we'll get calendar invites. Yes. Brittany's on it, she's ready, she probably got it ready to go already. I will do this one, I'll read it. Item U, I move to approve the resolution for a Board of Education primary election to be held February 13th, 2024, only if 3 or more candidates file for the Board of Education position scheduled to be on the ballot. The Board of Education general election, if necessary, shall be held April 2nd, 2024, under the following circumstances. If only 2 candidates file for a position scheduled to be on the ballot or for a position on the ballot for an unexpired term, or if no candidate in the Board of Education primary election receives more than 50% of the votes cast. The voters shall elect a board member for board position number 4, which has a 5-year term of office. The polling places shall be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? Aye. And aye. Item V, I move to approve item V 1 through 3 with the inclusion of the following: Dawn Strasden, bus driver; Jacqueline Carlin, Greenwood PT Para sub; Bradley Fields, Heritage PE teacher; Jennifer Duncan, THS Special Care Para; Christian Nahar, THS Special Care Para; Ashley Robbins, Sequoias Special Care Para. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And I, no new business?
No, ma'am.
And with that, we are adjourned.